Hey there, guys. So I want to thank you, as always, for taking the time to check out the weekly live stream that I do every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, of course. So before I get started, I do, of course, want to mention my website, which is bponlinefitness.com. I do have it posted in various different places. If you do want the link to my website, feel free to reach out and let me know. And as always, I want to mention that there's a ton of free information available on the website. You can check out my free fitness blog where I always post something new every single week, no matter it be related to fitness, nutrition, even recovery, anything related to proper sleep, anything related to, macronutrients, things of that nature. There's a ton of free information that you can check out there and take notes from any of that that's on there. It's free for you to access. You can also check out my email newsletter. You can sign up on my website, and on the email newsletter, it's a new topic I send out each week. And usually the topic is tied to whatever I discuss in the live stream every Wednesday. So you'll not only get that, but you can also come back here on Wednesday and you can basically take more notes as it relates to whatever topic is being discussed. So today we're going to talk about, of course, fad diets and sustainable eating, but there's a new topic every single week. I always try to keep it relevant and keep it informative and something that you can take with you and basically start to implement it now. This is all advice that is very implementable. I'm not sure if that's the actual word, but you can very much start out and implement it today with a lot of the advice that I share. So again, bponlinefitness.com is my website. And another thing I do want to mention is that I will be uploading today's live stream, of course, on YouTube. So you'll be able to check out that on YouTube. I try to archive any of the live streams that I do here on Facebook so that you can have access to them in another form. So, with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is fad diets and sustainable eating. So, this is a very important topic, and I'm going to briefly sort of define exactly what a fad diet is. And then as we get into the topic, we will also go into sustainable eating and how you can counteract that. So basically, what a fad diet is a popular weight loss plan that promises quick and dramatic results, often through extreme and unsustainable eating practices. These diets typically gain widespread attention due to celebrity endorsements, media coverage, or the promise of rapid weight loss. So, I'm going to discuss a little bit about the different types of fad diets, and there are very many out there. A lot of popular ones that you've likely heard of that many people sort of go to when it comes to, implementing a diet. And before I really get started with digging into this topic, what's really important, and I feel that not a lot of people fully understand when it comes to the aspect of fitness, nutrition, is that it's really simple. The process is simple. It's just that people try to make it complicated with a lot of these different methods that really are not beneficial to reaching a sustainable long-term goal. And that's the really major problem, especially when it comes to now, is that so many people just try to look for quick fixes when you don't really need a quick fix when it comes to your diet. Like what I always mention, when you're talking about, really building a nutrition plan and getting started with your nutrition, is you start small. You don't drastically change your diet, anything of that sort. And I'm going to dive into that, but I just want to mention this beforehand that start with the basics as much as possible. Do not rely on all this quick fix stuff that's not going to give you sustainable results. Again, let's of course define what we're talking about today. So, fad diets are popular weight loss plans that promise quick and dramatic results, often through extreme and unsustainable eating practices. Again, these are typically just really popular nutrition-based plans that are just kind of thrown out there, and a lot of people hear about through various different methods, through the internet, through television, anything of that sort. So, what are the common characteristics when it comes to fad diets? So, fad diets frequently claim that you can lose a significant amount of weight in a short period, often without the need for exercise. And again, this sort of goes back to what I just mentioned, where you just need to focus on gradual changes. That's really the most important aspect, especially when it comes to weight loss. So these diets typically involve very low calorie intake, sometimes below the recommended daily levels, which can lead to nutrient deficiencies and metabolic issues. Many fad diets advise cutting out entire food groups, such as carbohydrates, fats, or even certain fruits and vegetables, which can result in an unbalanced diet. And I'm going to talk about one of these that's really popular here in a second, um, because it's thrown out. I've heard it so often. It's the big thing right now, and that has to do with carbs. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But like I said, what you need to do when you're getting started with a, you know, nutrition plan, meal plan, whatever it is, you need to focus on really starting from the basics. If you do not have a very healthy eating sort of regimen at the moment, you do not need to completely get rid of what you already have, like in your kitchen. You don't need to do that. It's all about the gradual changes that you make. Starting with the basics and starting with, like, for example, gradually changing maybe what you eat for breakfast. And then as you get comfortable with eating that healthier diet for breakfast, then changing your lunch, sort of, your lunch that you eat, and sort of gradually changing the types of foods that you eat. The way that you really build sustainable results outside of, eliminating certain things, you do not need to eliminate complete food groups, or you do not need to completely cut out a specific nutrient. You just need to have the proper balance. A lot of that too is that you do need to have moderation at the same time. Moderation is a very key aspect when it comes to really helping to keep a sustainable diet. You can still have foods here and there that may not be as healthy, but it's just about how much you consume of those specific foods. So, what are the health risks that are associated with fad diets? So, there's many different health risks that come with these types of diets. Fad diets, of course, often eliminate entire food groups such as carbohydrates, fats, leading to lack of essential nutrients like vitamin, minerals, and fiber. Like I've mentioned in previous live streams, macronutrients are essential. You do need macronutrients, and again, macronutrients are basically the three, key nutrients that you need in large amounts, and this is known as carbs, fats, and protein. These are all essential, and you need to have a proper balance between these different nutrients. So, extreme calorie restriction is another point here. Common and fad diets can cause the body to enter starvation mode, slowing down metabolism as it tries to conserve energy. This can make weight loss harder over time and lead to rapid weight gain once normal eating resumes. This is a very common thing too, is that a lot of people assume, if somebody has just has had a habit of maybe overeating for an extended period of time, a lot of people assume that, if they just completely cut out what they're eating, completely cutting out meals, that it's going to help. It's going to help, with fat loss. But it really, in actuality, in reality, it doesn't, because you are affecting your metabolism. Once you get back to a normal eating schedule, you will gain fat more because you are not having the proper nutrients and the proper balance with your diet. Your body is going to, have rapid weight gain because it's just not used to that consumption of food once you've had a complete restriction of your calories. Calories are essential. It's all about the quality of your calories that matter. And this is something that I mention to a lot of my clients, is that the quality of your calories are very important when it comes to reaching that goal. This goes with weight loss, this goes with, fat loss, muscle gain. It's all very similar. However, of course, the way that you consume calories is a little bit different. Like I've mentioned before, there's of course a difference between a calorie surplus and a calorie deficit. Now, if you've not heard of a calorie surplus or a calorie deficit, these are basically, in other words, the most common terms that people classify these under as a bulk or a cut phase, basically. And I usually just call them a calorie surplus and deficit. That's the way I like to define them. But the most common term that you're going to hear here is that it's bulking or cutting. So, and this is not only just related, particularly when we're talking about muscle gain, this can be related to sort of weight loss and fat loss because a calorie deficit is likely needed when you're focusing primarily on fat loss. Whereas if we're more focusing on muscle gain, we're going to be more in a calorie surplus in order to help with muscle repair, muscle growth, and things of that nature. So just know that it's really more essential to focus on the balance. So diets high in saturated fats or low in fiber can increase the risk of heart disease. For example, high protein, low carb diets may lead to elevated cholesterol levels and an increased risk of cardiovascular problems. Now, when we're talking about high protein here, if you're basically consuming, this kind of relates basically when we're talking about sort of the aspect like if you consume too much water. It doesn't have an extreme sort of high risk when it comes to protein, but there is a risk that it can cause negative effects. So with high protein, it's okay to have a high protein diet, and I do want to clarify that there. But when you consume too much of a particular nutrient and you're not having a balance between those nutrients, that's where you can have problems. It's the same way, like if we're completely cutting out carbs, it's the same difference. If you're cutting out a specific nutrient, it's not going to be helpful. Having a high protein diet is fine as long as you're having the proper balance between the protein, the carbs, and the fats that you consume. It's okay to be high in protein, but if that's all you're just focusing on consuming, then it's not a good idea. So just sort of understand that we're talking about if you're consuming too much of one nutrient or too little of a nutrient. So of course, this can have cardiovascular problems, so keep that in mind. Diets that exclude certain food groups, like grains or fruits, can disrupt the balance of gut bacteria, leading to digestive issues such as constipation, bloating, or irritable bowel syndrome known as IBS. So, if you cut out specific groups, of course, that's going to make another difference and sort of the nutritional effects of those specific groups. You need to have a very balanced diet. It's not only about the consumption of those calories, it's a balance of the calories as well as the quality of those specific calories. So nutrition deficiencies and fad diets. So many fad diets like the keto or Atkins diet drastically reduce or eliminate carbs. And this is the most popular thing that's talked about is carbs here lately. Others like the paleo diet may exclude grains or legumes, which can lead to deficiencies in key nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Low fat diets, which were popular in the past, encourage reducing fat intake to very low levels. Healthy fats are essential for absorbing fat soluble vitamins. These vitamins are known as A, D, E, and K. Some diets, especially very restrictive vegan diets, may provide insufficient protein, which can impact muscle repair. So, depending on, of course, what you're focusing on, and especially, when we're talking about, vegan diets and, the insufficient protein intake, what I do want to mention there is that there are plant-based options when it comes to protein. But it is very much recommended to have, basically both, the best of both when it comes to animal and plant-based. However, there are options where you can get plant-based protein if you do, are in a vegan diet. but it may be a little bit harder to consume the sufficient amount of protein when it comes to that diet. So, again, going back to keto, the keto diet, of course, is the one that completely cuts out carbs. Again, when we're talking about carbs, and I've talked about carbs before, carbs are very essential for energy. They're very essential for the body to have for energy. So if you eliminate carbs, you're going to notice a difference in how you feel. It's just going to be a part of that because you're not getting the proper amount of carbs. Your energy levels are going to be off balance. So the way that we talk about keto is basically the same way that years ago we would talk about low fat. Low fat used to be the most popular thing back years ago, where people thought it was just better to not have fat in your diet. Or less fat in your diet, I guess I should say. And this is the same sort of concept. We're just eliminating another nutrient. It's not. It's the same thing. You still need fats in your diet. It's all about healthy fats, essential for absorbing particular vitamins. You still need those fats. It's just about the quality of those fats that matter. The same goes with carbs. You do not need to eliminate carbs in your diet. You just need to have a balance as well as having quality carbs in your diets. And a lot of these are basically complex carbs. You've got whole grains, you've got things like, brown rice, very good for, carbohydrate intake, things of that nature. It's all about the complex carbs that you consume. That's what you need to focus on. It's not about the carbs that are not going to be beneficial, of course, to your overall goal. So just keep things in mind that the way you really identify a fad diet is usually when it's talking about eliminating a specific nutrient. Nutrition deficiencies are very common when it relates to fad diets. So, sustainable eating. So, what we're moving on from here is basically going into what is a more sustainable diet that you could include in your routine. So, sustainable eating focuses on consuming a balanced, varied diet that supports long term health. Again, we're going back to that term balance. That's the big thing here. It ensures that your diet provides all essential nutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals necessary for optimal health. A balanced diet helps maintain energy levels, supports immune function, and reduces the risk of chronic diseases. Aim to fill your plate with a mix of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Avoid overemphasis on a single food group or macronutrient. Same thing, we don't need to completely eliminate a specific macronutrient, and we don't need to overconsume in a specific macronutrient. It's all about balance. And that's the simple thing, is that a lot of people, they throw around, you got to cut out this specific nutrient, this and that, and it's really simple. You just have to have a proper balance in your diet. You don't need to overcomplicate it, and that's the big problem we have now today. So, what are some examples of a sustainable diet? There's many different examples, but of course, the overall, choice when we're talking about a balanced diet is that you can do a balanced diet in various different ways. It's just about having a proper, balance of your macronutrients, your carbs, your fats, and your proteins, and of course, getting the proper calorie intake based on your goal, whether you're focusing on calorie surplus or a calorie deficit. So, examples of sustainable diets. Mediterranean diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and healthy fats like olive oil, along with moderate fish and poultry consumption. It's known for its many health benefits. Again, this diet it's just a balanced diet. It's very simple. You've got all your fruits and vegetables. You're getting a wide range of nutrients. You're getting your carbs, you're getting your fats, and you're getting your protein all at the same time. And especially really healthy proteins, like when we're talking about fish. Fish is really great, and really, raising your protein intake. Whole grains, great for carbs. I mean, and then olive oil, very beneficial for fat intake, for a healthy fat to have in your diet. It's just an all around very balanced meal diet. Plant-based diet, so focusing primarily on plant foods with minimal or no animal products. Again, there's many options if you're focusing on plant-based diets when you're talking about having a balance in your nutrients. You just need to be aware, and plant-based diets are great diets, but you just need to be aware that you're getting a sufficient amount of all your nutrients when you're focusing on this particular diet. Or at the same time, if you're doing minimal, animal products, you can include maybe a little bit of lean meats in that diet, along with what you would normally eat, whether it be vegetables or, any sort of fruits. You can still have a balance. You could have a little bit of the animal-based protein in there, but then also include a lot of the plant-based foods when it comes to vegetables and fruits and grains and things of that nature. Flexitarian diet is a primarily plant-based, but allows for occasional consumption of meat and animal products. Again, it's the same sort of concept, offering a more flexible approach and still supports sustainability. So having a balance, it's sort of the same concept when we're talking about sustainable diet. It's about having, you know, the plant-based diet, of course, that we're focusing on, but also having a little bit of consumption of animal-based products, whether that be, it can be any type of protein. A lot of the good, animal-based proteins like chicken, beef, um, fish-based sort of proteins, anything of that sort are all great options. It's still the same concept. We're having a balance of all of the basically the essential groups of foods, vegetables, fruits, you know, chicken, protein, all of that is all in a proper balance. So the benefits of sustainable eating. So sustainable diets, of course, emphasize whole, minimally processed foods, rich in essential nutrients. This promotes overall health and reduces the risk of chronic diseases such as obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. By focusing on nutrient-dense foods and balanced eating patterns, sustainable eating supports long-term physical and mental well-being, contributing to a higher quality of life. Sustainable diets, such as those rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins, help to support healthy weight management through portion control and a focus on satiety. So, again, you know, it's just all about, having a proper balance in all of your nutrients. And of course, as you get used to this diet, it'll become second nature. It's just like forming any other habit. Once you start to, it does take a little bit to get adjusted, but once you start with the basics, gradually making changes in your routine, that's all you really need to focus on. Again, if you're somebody whose diet is not, where it needs to be, focus on just the small meals. Focus on maybe changing your snacks, maybe having healthier snacks. And at the same time, for the time being, you could keep the diet you have now, but just focus on minor changes. As you get adjusted, with those healthy snacks, make changes to your breakfast, make changes to your lunch, make changes to your dinner as you get adjusted gradually into your routine. So, in summary, short-term focus is designed for rapid weight loss or quick results, often through extreme or restrictive eating patterns. Nutritional imbalance, typically cutting out entire food groups, leading to potential nutrient deficiencies and health risks. Long-term health, so emphasizing balanced nutrition, gradual lifestyle changes, and overall well-being. Maintained and balanced, easier to stick with over time, promoting consistent health benefits without extreme restrictions. So that in a nutshell is basically the difference between fad diets and sustainable eating. It's very simple. Again, it's all about your focus on the balance of your nutrients. That's very simple. Again, it's just thrown around, in many different places in the fitness sphere, nutrition sphere that, you have to do these restrictions completely of your diet when that's not necessarily that's not a benefit. That's not a positive way to actually reach your goal. So thank you guys once again for taking the time to view this video, this live stream. I really appreciate it. I enjoy talking about topics like this because I know that not a lot of people are aware of, especially this topic in particular when we're talking about the keto diets and things of that nature that are thrown around very often, that a lot of people don't understand that it's not a good idea to completely restrict specific nutrients, and it's not a good idea to really cut completely down your calories because it affects metabolism. And that's just the common, thought process that many people have now because of so much information that's being thrown around. So, as always, I do want to mention my website, guys. It's bponlinefitness.com. I've got it here on screen. If you have any questions about anything I discussed here today in this live stream, or even my previous live streams, you can feel free to comment. I do have a YouTube channel. If you do want the link to that, feel free to let me know. I always archive these live streams there so that they're available for you to view and to watch. So, with all that being said, guys, I do have another live stream next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. That event will be posted soon. But thank you guys for taking the time to view this live stream. And I hope that you found it helpful and valuable. And I will see you guys again in the next live stream. So thank you guys for watching.